What is going on? Welcome to Create and Destroy. I'm your host, Dan Donnarumma. This is episode 39. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Holy shit, I can't believe it's Christmas Eve. This is the final episode of 2019. Damn. But man, we got new Star Wars movie, Rise of Skywalker. Oh, pretty great movie, man. Not the best Star Wars movie of the franchise, but it's still a pretty good movie. There are definitely some flaws in it, some moments in the movie that I was kind of unsure about, but it had some fantastic fucking moments in it. There was a span of like 20 minutes where I was just completely gut-wrenched by what was happening in the movie, and I don't want to spoil it, but that 20 minutes alone makes me completely love the movie. So if you haven't seen it, get your ass out to the movie theater, go check it out, because it's fun as hell. Danny Girl and I are headed to good old central New York to spend the holidays with her family, and I'm super fucking excited about it. We always have a great time at our family's house. And of course, we're going to go see Rise of Skywalker with them as well. And then I've got about a week or so off of work, and I'm so happy about that. I plan to just be a fucking lazy son of a bitch. Maybe play some video games. I think I'm going to start delving into Star Wars comics, so maybe reading some comics. And then trying to make a dent in A Feast for Crows. So yeah, just a lazy holiday for me, and I'm all about it, man. So enough of what stupid shit I'll be doing for the holidays. Let's talk about today's episode and today's guest, Dustin Coffman and Camacho from the band Glassing. Dustin plays bass and sings in the band, and Camacho plays drums. We talked about a bunch of stuff, but we talked about their most recent album, Spotted Horse, which I let the guys know this. Spotted Horse wound up becoming one of my favorite albums of 2019. It is such a fucking stellar album. It's so good, man. One of the things that I love about it, it pulls from different genres. So you get metal, there is moments of like post-rock influence, I get some screamo in there as well. And they create such a dynamic sound with this album, because Spotted Horse was written over a 4-day span of time, the majority of the album, which just fucking blows my mind, man. I shared with the dudes that Spotted Horse was one of my favorite albums. It's going to be absolutely in my top 10 albums, because it's seriously just a fantastic album from start to finish. I let the guys know this. I had never heard Glassing until I was lurking Instagram one day, and This Will Destroy You made a post about Spotted Horse, and I figured, hey, let me check this fucking album out, and I just wound up falling in love with the album right from first listen on. Our conversation was also pretty damn fun. At one point, Dustin and Camacho's shirts were coming off. Dustin has a pet bird, and it's an Indian ringneck. Bird's name is Wampo. So during the interview, Wampo was flying around and squawking. And I just want to say, yo, Create and Destroy, completely pro pet. So yeah, it was pretty great seeing Wampo just kind of like fly around and do its thing. So yeah, let's fucking get into it. Enough of me flapping my gums. Here is my conversation with Dustin Coffman and Camacho of Glassing. All right, Camacho, Dustin, how are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good, yeah, solid.
So I figure before we get started, if you guys could just give a quick introduction and then also mention what you guys do in Glassing.
My name's Camacho. I play drums for the group Glassing and Windows 1995.
My name is Dustin. I play bass and vocals for Glassing, and that's it.
Thank you guys so much for coming onto the podcast. I really appreciate it. And it's kind of crazy to say this, but 2019 is almost coming to an end. How would you say the year has been for the band?
This has been a good year. This has been a great year for us.
Yeah.
We got to release an album that we were working really hard on. That record took us a little over 2 years to write and record. It was an overall great experience touring after its release, and it was glad to see it come to fruition. And we're really glad that people like it as much as we enjoyed making it.
Yeah, I have to tell you guys, man, your release this year has been one of my favorite albums of the year. I'm like working on my top albums of the year list, but I could tell you right now, it's absolutely in the top 10. It is possibly in the top 5. I'm like trying to figure out where I want everything to go, but it's a fantastic fucking album from start to finish.
Will this help us get to the top 5? Is that going to?
I mean, that is an absolute yes now.
A little bit more.
A little bit of maple syrup on the deal.
Absolutely. Now that's a guaranteed album of the year after that, for sure.
He also has a Phil Collins t-shirt that helps.
Dan, we can take this as far as you want, man. Like, there's a bed back there.
So you guys also played Levitation Fest recently, which is really cool. So how was that experience for you?
It was good. It was fun. We played, we played right after High on Fire, which was great. Got to catch their whole set. They shredded. They ruled as usual. Street Sex was amazing. They're always amazing.
They had just gotten back from Russia.
Yeah, they were like crazy tired. They had like I think it was Leo or Sean who lost.
I think it was Leo. He lost his passport.
Yeah, he lost his passport in Russia and was like stuck there. And then they had just gotten back, I think that day. And then but they had been up for like an insane amount of time. So they were like, they showed up to the show, crushed it.
Yeah.
And but like running on like fumes. It was wild to see. And then we got kicked out of High on Fire's green room.
Yeah.
Why'd you get kicked out of the green room for?
For asking for sparkling water.
we didn't do anything crazy. Like I just think we're not supposed to be up there.
They're like, who the fuck are these assholes? Get them out of here.
Yeah, like their manager or someone, like some dude came up to us and he was like he knew right away that we weren't that we were playing. He was like, what band are you guys in? Like he knew that we weren't like just fans of High on Fire. And we were like, or no, he was like, you guys in the local band? And we were like, yeah. And he's like, can't be up here, man.
Get the fuck out.
Gets right out, man.
Yeah.
How many times can you say you've been kicked out of High on Fire's green room?
Seriously. So fuck, man. Have you guys played fests before, or was Levitation the first festival that you guys got to play?
We did Pooh Fest in St. Louis.
We've also done, what's that festival in Louisiana that we did?
Oh yeah. That was Tyler Harper's festival, correct?
From Capra. Sick fucking Louisiana band.
Yeah, Pooh Fest was that's a pretty big one, I guess, in the DIY scene here in the States. Luke Mikowski has been a longtime resident in St. Louis, and he's put a lot of time and energy into that festival. It's gone on now for 5 years, and he's respectfully had a lot of up and coming artists, and we were grateful to be a part of that. But just a handful of festivals, not a lot.
Definitely nothing as big as Levitation.
Yeah.
As we're talking about this shit, I'm not a big festival guy. It's just fucking too much, man. I often wonder, for a band to play a festival, is it overwhelming? Is it exciting? Is it a little bit of both?
It's like a normal show, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you treat it as any other show. However, I was future tripping on the fact that members of Power Trip and High on Fire would be like front row watching us. You know what I mean? Like that's really like not the case on how that works some of the time, or most of the time. I don't know. And so I was super nervous personally, but that was also my first time playing completely sober. And so, but in reality, like, you treat it like any other show. I mean, whether you're playing to a crowd of 1 or 100 or 100,000, like it's the same, How do you settle those nerves when well, let me ask you this first. How many people wind up attending that festival? Do you know?
It was a sold out show
for
the Mohawk, but I don't know what that is. Like, I feel like the Mohawk is like one of the bigger venues in Austin.
Very much so.
So, like, how do you settle those nerves when you're playing in front of that many people? You're nervous? Is it just like, I'm just gonna fucking get in the zone and do my thing?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, most definitely. I actually went down to Easy Tiger and grabbed iced coffee and kind of took my mind off of the reality of like any kind of tension or like, you know what I mean, like any kind of stress that I would have had playing, and it definitely did help.
Yeah, by drinking iced coffee. That's how we get rid of nerves, by drinking cold brew coffee in large amounts of it. Our last show, we went to a bar across the street, and I saw him drink an entire pint glass of cold brew coffee right before we went on.
Dude, your heart rate must be jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a good substitution for cocaine.
That is a good point. Right? So do you normally get nervous for most shows, or is it was Levitation more like a kind of outlier sort of a show?
Correct. Yeah. Most definitely, personally for me, I was nervous of the outcome. But again, I was, overanalyzing that situation. In reality, like, I'm always just ready to fucking, just crush. The last show we played, like Dustin was saying, it was at Hotel Vegas, a very comfortable venue. Not that Mohawk isn't, but it was a lot of homies that came out. It was just right on point, and there was nothing to worry about. And that should have been the case for me, like playing quote unquote a festival.
Mm-hmm.
I had those nerves, but
once you get past like the first song or two, the nerves kind of go away.
Yeah, I would imagine. I wanted to also talk to you guys about Audiotree, because you got to perform there this summer, which I thought was really cool, and I was really impressed with your performance. I don't regularly watch Audiotree performances, so I don't know if like most people that go on there, if they sound as good as you guys do or did in that performance. Because like, fuck, dude, they sound really good. So what was that experience like for you guys?
Incredible.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. We played Sleeping Village in Chicago, a newer venue, I believe in the Pilsen area. And we had to wake up really early for that one. And I personally wasn't sure how our performance was going to be. And they were so accommodating and extremely professional. I actually recorded Let You Gia's track in that same studio that they were in. So for me personally, my comfort zone was on point. But yeah, everybody there was nice. They had just great sound equipment.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why the set sounded or the main reason why the set sounded as good as it was is because they have some amazing engineers over there.
Yeah.
It was really cool because it was like you were in a recording studio, but it was for like live video, except they were still very much recording you like you would be in a studio. So like once we got done with the performance, we went around the corner to the sound booth, and the sound engineer was just like putting the works on all like everything that he had got, and he was doing such a good job. But more importantly, he was doing it so insanely quickly. I was like, he'd be like, okay, going to tailor the vocals real quick here, and he just had it like under wraps and like within the hour. But I think they still worked on it afterwards before they like actually presented it, or reposted it. Because you have the live stream and then you have like the YouTube performance, and the live stream is only up for like 24 hours, I think. But yeah, that was they were all super nice, super accommodating. Yeah, I had nothing but positive vibes from the whole experience. It was just we went away from that feeling like $1 million.
They took their time and made sure that we were all individually comfortable with what our instruments sounded like before we went on. So there was no rush, you know what I mean? Like they just made sure that the artists or us, for this one, was just super comfortable, and it made it easier to perform live. It can be nerve-wracking because there's a lot of cameras, you know what I mean? And it's one take is all you got kind of thing. But that's also kind of the adrenaline rush in the sport of it too.
Oh, Corey, before I forget, Corey wanted me to tell you two things. He liked Brutus at Levitation Fest. I'm not sure if that is pertaining to a question that you may have asked him.
Dude, Brutus is awesome. Their new album is so good.
It just seems like weird because he's like, tell him I liked Brutus at Levitation. And then his other thing that he wanted to tell you was, tell him my arpeggio and follow through came from tuning to a dropped version of DADGAD, which is traditionally an Irish tuning, and if you listen hard, it almost sounds like a leprechaun jig. I'm not going to read any more text messages from him.
So so he wrote that arpeggio and follow through. That arpeggio is so good, man. I fucking love that arpeggio. I love that song. That's like one of my favorite songs on the album.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you.
But to go back to Audiotree, that's so dope. I mean, I figured they had their shit together. I just didn't realize like it was that insane.
It's like, it's so fucking pro. Like, they're so pro that they're like captain of an airplane pro. Like, they're just like doing all this crazy shit, but everybody's calm and relaxed because everything's like moving swimmingly, and they'll let you know if there's a problem, but there never is really. That's
fucking cool. And during that interview, This Will Destroy You was brought up, and I wanted to mention them because I absolutely fucking love This Will Destroy You. They're one of my favorite bands, and I actually discovered you guys because of This Will Destroy You. Yeah, I hadn't heard Glassing before, and they had posted on their Instagram about Spotted Horse, and I figured, fuck, I'll check this album out, and I was immediately hooked on the album.
That's tight.
Yeah, how long have you guys known them?
So I played in a band like a decade ago in San Antonio. That's where I went to high school and stuff. And This Will Destroy You was originally from San Antonio, I'm pretty sure. But they would play shows here and there. And that's when I first met them, but we weren't like super close. They were just kind of acquaintances.
Corey lived with Jeremy.
But Corey ended up being Jeremy's roommate at one point, and they just like became good friends. And they're close homies now, and like their relationship has kind of fostered like me and Camacho's relationship with them, because we went on tour with them, and like Chris has done all our artwork, and Jeremy's helped with like basically management stuff, and in that whole process we got to know them a lot better, and realized that they're awesome dudes, and they've really helped us more than they needed to.
Yeah, let's not forget that Andrew Hernandez, who engineered Spotted Horse, is a off and on member bass player.
He just got off a tour with them.
Yeah
playing bass. He's the audio engineer of Spotted Horse, is their bass player.
We like to count him as our fourth member.
Yeah.
Their album, Another Language, is like one of my all-time favorite albums. It's so fucking good. Yeah, so when they posted about your album, I was like, I got to check this out if they're recommending this album. And yeah, I was hooked right from the get-go. So that's fucking awesome, man, that you guys have that kind of relationship with them. Being that you're from Texas and Austin, I feel like there's so many fucking good bands that come out of Texas and Austin as well. What's the music scene like where you guys are from?
It's ever evolving, to say the least. I moved from Chicago back to Texas, Austin, obviously, in 2011-ish. Archbold from Coleman and Algiers, they've been a local band here for a good, I guess, 14 years plus. Was a big fan of my former band, Lechuguillas, in Chicago. And he kind of paved the way for a really proper introduction to Austin. It can be tricky here, but there is, make no mistake, there's so many good artists here in Austin, and it took me a while to kind of reintroduce myself to a local scene, because I had been in Chicago for so long, and find really, really good musicians. Glassing has made a lot of personal connections to Adam Jones, who runs Holodeck Records, and but the way the city's changing is really transforming how the DIY scene and local artists have to operate. But I'm proud to say that we still exist here, and it's crazy. We could talk for an hour just alone on how this city transforms so quickly, and how it forces the music scene to change as well. But that doesn't really affect the talent and the amount of hard work that we all put into making this scene still exist and making it sound good.
That's really great. Yeah, I feel like that is a common theme. I feel like that's probably something that is happening across the country in different cities, that DIY spaces and DIY venues are getting forced out and pushed out because of whatever policies or whatever fucking like sprawls happening in the city, which sucks.
It's the reason that like the majority of awesome venues have been shut down in Austin.
Yeah.
But then I feel like if you do that so much, people are going to need a place to go. Bands are going to need a place to play. And then you get rad places like 523 Thompson.
Oh yeah, very much so.
That come up because it's like, what is it? What's that phrase? The necessity is the mother of invention. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with it. We'll say that's what it is.
And like, if there were just venues operating like how I wish they could in a big city like this, then yeah, that might not happen. Like I've been throwing house shows for like here at my house for like, I don't know, like nine years or so. And I would always do it because like I never, like there would be like a touring band coming through that I really liked, or like homies from the road. And like they would come through and I'd be like, well, let me book them here. And then they'd be like, well, there's like a $250 door fee or something like that. And I'm like, I got a PA, I can get a keg. I don't need to pay you. I can do this myself.
Yeah.
And my neighbors have always been super cool with it. We're always like open communication with them, you know?
We're extremely
so they
lucky.
never really like, we were always like, we'll have it done by midnight and just don't call the cops.
Yeah.
That's awesome, dude. House shows are the shit, man.
They're the best.
That's fucking awesome that you guys do that. That's cool as shit.
And just to add, like, you know, in reference to the Austin scene, just recently, a venue of high caliber and recognition called Beerland shut down for various reasons that I won't go into. However, I did notice that when that happened, there was a spike of house shows just popping up out of, you know what I mean? And it made me feel really good to know that even though something of that legendary status in the city can be taken away for unfortunate circumstances, there's still people, you know, like Dustin and I and everyone here in Austin who opens the doors to their house and cleans up that, you know, the aftermath. It's really cool to know that we can still operate in this city that's so compromising sometimes. It sucks. But, you know, there's also, like, you know, the multiple venues here that do truly care. And I do want to name drop Lost Well, Dusty Brooks, that whole crew. They really, really do care about booking up and coming artists and also majorly signed artists as well. You know, they cover all the ground. And so, you know, we still are hanging on.
Hell yeah, man. I'm just thinking, like, as you're saying this, how awesome of a feeling is it? Like when you go to like a punk house or whatever, and you see a show and it's like an awesome ass show. It feels so fucking
Total
cool.
homies.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's so fucking awesome. So shit, I gotta ask you guys, are you into the band Greve?
Yeah.
Are we into them?
They're
Yes.
They're
Oh my God, yes.
Good homies of ours. We were actually planning to do a split at one point, but they're great friends of ours, and they're awesome dudes, and they're like insanely talented musicians. Yeah, they're one of our favorite bands in town.
Favorite sad boys in town.
Yeah.
Dude, oh my God, that LP Elude that they released is fucking incredible. So good. And I thought it was two guitarists in that band. And I went and saw them.
Just Tim.
Blew my fucking mind when I saw it was just the one dude. Like, holy shit.
The best way I can describe Greve, when people ask if I am, you know, whether I invite them to a show, or, you know, they're like, what do they sound like? I usually just go to, they are a modern male Cocteau Twins, extremely loud. That's my go-to description. Kind of sums it for me personally.
Dude, they were so loud when I saw them. It was fucking awesome. Shit, man. So you guys were going to release a split? That would have been fucking great.
Yeah, it was bad timing, though. Like, what happened was, like, we actually both went into the studio to go do it, but then we got picked up and they got picked up, too.
Yeah.
And then, so both parties had to kind of refocus their, like, what was going to be a small split and then work on our LPs. So, like, any material that we had at the time, same for them. Like, so it was just kind of like an unfortunate timing, but we might reach out at one point and
I believe we're doing their their tour kickoff.
We might be doing their tour kickoff. Yeah.
Damn. Oh, fuck, dude. Yeah, that would be dope if you guys can make it happen. So shit, let's delve a little deeper into your music, and I definitely want to talk about Spotted Horse because, like I mentioned, I absolutely love the fucking album. So one of the things that I love about your music is the sound that you guys make. Like as I was coming home from work, I'm thinking about our conversation. I'm just thinking about your music, and I love that you guys are able to basically like weave some of my favorite genres of music into your sound, like post-rock, screamo, metal, and you guys do it in such a wonderful way. And I feel like your music has this great texture to it. It's just really awesome. So was that something that you guys knew right out of the gate you wanted your music to sound like, or is that something that as you continued to work together and to write music that started to evolve?
I would say evolve. Yeah. I don't know if we ever like sat down and decided that we would like, because when we first started, I don't know if you've listened to our like very first EP. So when we first started, it was very much our intention to just be that type of band. As we were playing more and more, mainly when we were recording Light and Death, we realized that we kind of all wanted to do a little bit more than that, because as much as we like you know, metal and just like, you know, the sheer brutality of harder music, deep down I think we're all like sad boy, groovy boy,
yeah,
kind of. Yeah. We just want to well, like Camacho is like really big into Can. He got me into like Can also, and like we've always like when we're on tour or something, we'll play like an entire Can record and then just like pine over it, and the fact that like you can just play this thing and it's just one continuous fun like sonic journey. So we kind of wanted to do something similar to that, and I've always been a big fan of bands like the Mars Volta. Like I got them tattooed on my arm.
Sick.
And you know, so I've always liked the cinematic way that they have made their LPs, where there's like some sort of kind of like journey blending, or something going on that travels the listener a little bit. And that is probably the one thing that is like forces us out of just the metal comfort zone that we tend to want to be in a lot, but when we're out of it, we find ourselves writing stuff that that
more organic,
we
more
enjoy.
intimate.
So we figured, why not just throw it in the mix too?
Yeah, very much so. I came on learning drum parts from a former drummer in Glassing with the demos and also Light and Death. Most actually, I would say 75% of those tracks.
Yeah.
And so coming in from a different line of music interest, I capped off my creativity and changed a lot of like how the songs ended up being on the record, the Light and Death record. And Spotted Horse was a genuine consummation of like, you know, me, Dustin, and Corey all together kind of bringing what we genuinely like to do. And I would say compromising and uncompromising. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, we listen to, sometimes we don't listen to the same thing at all, ever. You know, we'll get into our own little rabbit holes individually, and we never really step on each other's toes when we write parts. And that's kind of that's a nice beauty to a good relationship to have with these boys, because we respect each other's decisions, and those things come from music that we listen to on our own time.
What I find so interesting about what you guys are telling me, like hearing you guys say this and thinking about Spotted Horse, this all makes perfect sense, because your music is very multifaceted. And as I mentioned, you guys are pulling from different genres, and hearing you guys say this, like, yeah, it makes perfect fucking sense. And Justin, you had mentioned feeling like you want the listener to feel like they're on a journey. And I feel like when I listen to your music, it's like a fucking roller coaster, man. From song to song, or even in just a single song, you'll have these moments that'll be super abrasive and heavy as hell. and then there you'll start to get into like an ambient sort of post-rocky soundscape, and then it's back to being abrasive. Or you'll have songs that are super fucking heavy, and then one song is more of an ambient sort of song. So I love that about your music, that it is kind of this like up and down fucking ride. Just hearing you guys talk about that, I think is fucking really cool, because I totally get that when I listen to your music.
You know, one of the cool things about changing, it's something that we always talk about in the band, is like, especially when we're creating a set list or something, it's always to us important to have control over our dynamic range in a way that if we turn down for a song, or if we go a little bit more mellow for a song, you know, it has like a groove or something, at that point, the platform for like us to jack it up again is like cleared, and we can now get to where we were, you know, a few songs ago at its like max volume, because you can only get to this peak a few times, and I think that's one of the reasons why we do that, is so that we can, I don't know, it's like if you could come down from drugs just to get high again, like,
yeah,
that's what the kind of mellow shit does for us. It's like a dynamic change, and it allows us to like reamp that energy back into like the next like heavier, aggressive song that we have.
Yeah, very much so. And then also pitting like some quieter moments with metal mentality, if that makes sense. Keeping it real low key, real bleak, you know, having those savage parts where it doesn't need Chug City, you know, it's fucking damaged already, you know, and kind of staying and locking in on that. You know, sometimes those are our most favorite parts of a song, you know, is those mellow parts, as Dustin would say, but they're also really, they serve a purpose in the choreography of a set or an album. Yeah, absolutely.
And I completely agree with what you guys are saying. Follow through, for example, like I love that fucking arpeggio, man. It totally reminds me of like listening to certain songs from like Joshua Fit for Battle or some shit like that. And I mean, an arpeggio is an arpeggio, right? It's not like you're just fucking palm mute or anything, but it sounds awesome. And I feel like that song just gets so intense. So yeah, I fucking love that you guys are able to do that, because it makes the quieter moments or the more subdued moments, and even the more abrasive moments, be more impactful because of that. Now, I have a question for you guys. Is it challenging to accomplish that and to write songs that have that dynamic where one moment you're fucking playing this part that's heavy as hell, and then the next moment it's quiet, it's subdued, it's somewhat post-rocky, and then maybe the next song is heavy as hell and you're kind of going back and forth? How challenging is it to accomplish that when you're writing these songs?
I don't think it to us it happens organically, so we never really think of it as like something that we need to do. Mm-hmm. So I think in that way, it doesn't. It's not hard at all, because it's always something we want to do. So if like we hear it in our heads or something like that, and we want to go there, then we'll figure out a way to do it.
What's easy for us is to all listen to each other. What's difficult is after we do is placing those things into pockets of where we want it to be. And most of the time it can be challenging working with other musicians or being in a band to respectfully listen to somebody's idea the whole way through. And the fact that we've evolved into naturally doing that with each other and respecting each other's decisions, trusting it the whole way through, that ends up becoming those parts that exactly what you're asking us of, you know what I mean? Like, so it's a yes and a no. It is difficult in the end to try to place those things that we all respectfully agree on.
Yeah, we have like a policy where like if someone brings up an idea and they want to like see it through, then if we can, we will try to accomplish. And we've gone through like, we've literally had multiple practices where one member is like working on one thing, like really pushing an idea, and everybody's kind of just like going with it up until the point where like one
Corey.
It's not just no. It's
explain.
I've done it too. It's like we, and Camacho's had moments of that too, where like, like with equal creativity, you have to like, sometimes you have to go down that rabbit hole with that person and try to understand what they're wanting to do. One of the benefits of being in a band where we listen to way different shit, but we also listen to like very similar things, is like Camacho will be like, yo, I want to do this like can idea, or like I want to do something like Boris on this album. Like, can we listen to this one album and like do some like a feel like that? And because it's so specific, and because the other members don't really know what it is, that like it's our interpretation of something. Yeah. So it never comes off as like directly plagiarizing. Influences aside, it's important for us to do things the way that we feel represents our sound, and that happens pretty organically as well.
It's almost nice for me to not know sometimes what Dustin exactly is trying to say.
Blink-182 and the Mistake, all the way through. We're gonna play start to finish, and I want to summarize that into one drum beat. Travis Barker, just lay it down.
That's happened.
I asked him to do that multiple times, and his interpretation is every single beat he's played on Spotted Horse. Let it go on the permanent record.
Shut the fuck up.
That's amazing.
I actually am a huge fan of Blink-182 though.
I feel like, how can you not be a fan of Blink-182? Like, I loved them when I was in middle school.
Let's be real.
Ultimate party boys.
Sans Ed Huckily.
Yeah.
You had mentioned writing the songs for Spotted Horse. I had read that you guys wrote them over the course of four days. Was it that you recorded them over the course of 4 days, or did you work on them and write them over the course of a longer period of time?
The majority of the record was written in about 4 days.
That blows my mind. Like, that straight up blows my fucking mind. Did at any point were you guys like, yo, this is ridiculous, we're never going to be able to pull this off?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we set a deadline for ourselves. Like, we were going to be like, we went to this ranch, Spotted Horse. That's what we named the record after. So this ranch is like an hour out of town, I think. And we get there and we're away from everything. So we just woke up in the morning, started writing. And that process was like really great because we didn't allow ourselves time without the idea in our head. So if we had a few songs that were like, that we were writing at that time. So like, we didn't write one song and then move on to another song. We wrote them all kind of like in different ways. And it was a lot harder to do that, for sure, I will say, than just spreading it out over like band practices over months and all that. But it was way more efficient. It was so efficient. So that was the cool thing about that. And and we were in the middle of nowhere, so we couldn't like go home or do anything else. I mean, we could go home probably, but like that would suck.
Yeah, that would suck.
Yeah, and I read that you guys had to do like chores and shit too on that ranch, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they worked your ass.
My buddy Adam Smith, he used to work in Columbus, Ohio for a company called Musical Records. He was a lathe cutting engineer there. And I happened to be on tour with Lechuguillas, and I played with some people who knew him, and they're like, "Oh, hey, he lives there in Austin now." And I got a hold of him. I was like, "Dude, he's a lathe cutting engineer. Why wouldn't I know him? Want to know him?" Story cut short, he ends up building a studio out on his farm, and I got him a residency at a studio place here called the Museum of Human Achievement. Lathe cutting. And he was like, yeah, man, he's like, if you guys want, you can come out here. He was on vacation with his lady. And we went out there, and he's like, by the way, I have, two dogs, goats and chickens, and da, da, da. He's like, if you stay here, it's like, you got to take care of the farm. And so that was kind of our, that was our payment, I guess, is to caretake the
It was
land.
pretty tight though. It was like, got to be like a farmer.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, we're
tilling.
We're like city boys. Like I can't lift a bale of hay. Like
but we can pet goats. And
we can pet goats and hang out with the dogs and stuff
and play metal.
Yeah,
dude, goats are the shit.
Dude,
They're cute.
We were so far in the middle of nowhere that we got to play with the garage door open.
Yeah,
it was so tight. I've never done that before.
So, what made you guys want to do this? Write these songs and this album over the course of just 4 days?
It was the notion that if you take the time to keep yourself in a headspace, that headspace, if it's an artistic venture, will remain consistent throughout the body of work that you're producing. So it wasn't like, we knew that if we did that, we would come back with something, and that something would be consistent, like it would have a sound to it. We wanted the record to be to flow and have each song kind of feel like it belonged next to the last song. So in order to do that, we had to keep ourselves in that creative space for as long as we could while we were writing it. And I hope that came out on the record, because that was the kind of the risk of doing that, was that we would make something like that, and hopefully it would be good, or the product would be cool.
Yeah, I would say absolutely. You get that fluid feeling throughout the album. It just like boggles my mind that you guys were able to do that over the course of 4 days. When you guys were there working on these songs and writing these songs, like what were your emotions like during this process? Like how much time were you spending each day writing on these songs?
There would be times where, one of us would walk out or walk back into the house from the garage and just take a break. And, me and Corey would kind of stay out there, or Dustin and I would stay out there, or Dustin and Corey, it was kind of like just a back and forth situation of just like, if you need to take a break, take a break. But yeah, I mean, it was almost delirious at times, in the sense that once you think that you have tired out an idea, if you keep pecking at it and you keep going, no matter how tired or wore out you are from whatever riff or whatever drum beat, sometimes the lack thereof, or like you're just tired of playing a certain thing and you shift gears completely 180. That's like the sweet spot sometimes. And so
the moment that you're about to give up on something is probably where you're going to make your breakthrough. So being in that consistency of like being it, like I would leave the jam room or the garage or whatever to go kick it by myself in the house, like grab a drink or whatever. There wasn't much else you could do. Like I could go for a walk, but when I came back, Corey and Camacho would still be working on that beat or that idea. Same with whenever they left. So it didn't matter if you left, because when you come back, it's still there. It's going to be right in front of you still. And that persistence helped. I feel like it helped us break into some new territory on like our overall sound change. Like I feel like Spotted Horse sounds a lot different than Light and Death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the things that I've noticed listening to the two albums, is that Spotted Horse definitely has more of a post-rocky ambient sort of feel to it than Light and Death. And I do like Light and Death as well, but I feel like there are definitely more fluid moments throughout Spotted Horse, and it totally makes sense if you guys wrote that entire album over the course of 4 fucking days. How long did you guys work on the songs for Light and Death?
It was months. We spent months on that. That and to summarize that record, I mean, there's only so much meatloaf that you can eat, like so you're like, I don't want any more meatloaf. I'm good.
Yeah.
We had like one priority on our mind at that point, and that was just to be as heavy as we could, which was.
I also felt a little stepchild in stepchild syndrome, if you will, because I was taking the place of some other drummers, parts, and there was already kind of these preconceived ideas that I was tapping into, and I wanted to make them my own, and so that kind of like delayed a little bit, and we shifting gears, with Spotted Horse, it was a completely different wavelength of creativity for me, because I felt like I was giving my 110% of my creativity to a record that was brand new. It was all of us fresh from the start, not me kind of latching on and trying to adjust to predisposed parts.
The 4 days passes, you guys write these songs, you're leaving this ranch. Explain what the emotions were like for you guys after that. At that point, you're heading back home. What was going through your minds? What emotions were you feeling?
Let's say good, but I think I speak for all of us. We didn't really know what we had on our hands until we went into the studio with Andrew Hernandez. We knew that whatever we did there, we did to our fullest capacity, but at the same time, it was all rough recordings. There's things that we still, even after that, we went back to and kind of, touched up like you would do. But it felt good in a bonding experience for sure.
Yeah.
And in a music writing experience for sure. But we didn't know, we're like, oh my God, this, you know what I mean? Like there was none of that.
It was like we went on tour with each other, but we didn't go anywhere really. Which we've done studio work together in the past, but it was a little different because it was all creative ideas. It was a completely creative environment. Like there was nothing that we had to do. Like the songs weren't written. It wasn't like we were going to the studio to like record these pre-written songs. We were going there to think of ideas, and if an idea was appealing yet simple enough, then we would execute it. But yeah, leaving the ranch. I don't know, man. I know that we were glad to be home. I know that we were stoked to be back.
Yeah.
I think I was I personally I remember being a little bummed that like it wasn't longer, like because I really love doing that. I would do it in a heartbeat if I could right now. Like
yeah.
It's
if Adam were to call us on the last day and was like, hey, our flight got canceled or whatever, can you stay there another week? We would have been like, fuck yes.
Yeah, we've done it.
Obviously, you went there with the intent to just work on shit. Right? Hopefully, some cool shit would come of it. But did you already have in mind that we are going to get an album out of these songs? Or what was it just, we're going to work on some shit. Maybe we'll have enough for a 7-inch, or maybe we'll have enough for an LP.
Yeah, it was an excursion. We wanted to go write, like create. That's all that we wanted to do. We didn't even know what we were going to name it. We didn't even have a name for it until we got to the ranch. Or I think is when we were leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We saw the street name.
We realized that like the street that it was on was called Spotted Horse, and we thought that was a dope name. So
that's fucking incredible. So when you guys realized like that you had enough material and enough songs to create an LP from this experience, what was that like for you guys when you didn't fully know that you were going to write an album during this experience?
We were stoked, man.
Of course.
We were like, oh, we have a full length. Like, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. We didn't realize that we were going to come up with that much material. Like, we would have been fine with like 1 or 2 songs.
Exactly.
Like, we would have been happy about that. Like, I think for us, the value of like just one decent song is monumental. And we would have been happy with that. We were lucky enough to have stumbled across the majority of the content for that record. Yeah, in our stay over there,
we just kept writing.
Dude, that is dope as fuck. That's so goddamn cool.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, like I feel like if I were in your shoes, I would have been so fucking stoked. Like I feel like that's got to be such an awesome feeling to be like, we're hoping to maybe get a song or two, but shit, we got an entire full length from it. That's fucking awesome. you know, and you guys kind of already alluded to this. So when you think back to writing these songs for Spotted Horse, and you think back to Light and Death, how do those albums feel for you at this point in time comparatively?
That's a good question.
Spotted Horse feels like we took a little bit of a departure from the path that we were on, and we realized that like our departure was actually the path that we should have been on the whole time. Or the path that we want to keep exploring, because we feel like that road leads to a lot more interesting shit. Light and Death was the way that I feel about that record personally. Is I love it for what it represents in the relative to the time we were creating it. Like we wanted to make something abrasive, aggressive, something that was like nonstop. Like, you know, there's like there are elements of that record that, like we have a song on there called Heavy Donor.
Oh yeah.
Which is not like, it's not fast. It's a straight, like I guess a doom-ish song. And it's the only song that we have
Bleak
that is like that. It's just like this fucking, like Harvey Milk type fucking drum beat. And then like, and it's the only song that we have like that. And the only way we would have written something like that is if we wanted to keep some sort of like, have some sort of dynamic range on the record, but had to keep it heavy still.
Yeah.
And that's what Light and Death allowed us to do, was to kind of like explore dynamic range a little bit, but never like stray from the like what we were there on that album to kind of accomplish.
Do. Yeah.
There was more exploration, maybe a little bit more experimentation that went into writing for Spotted Horse as opposed to Light and Death then. Is that correct?
Yeah. If Spotted Horse was allowed to venture off wherever it felt, Light and Death had like rails, you know, like we had to keep it on the rails, but we still got to experiment quite a bit on Light and Death.
We were dry humping on Light and Death, and then we took our clothes off on Spotted Horse. Let's sum that up.
I will say Light and Death slaps, man. That album's heavy as fuck.
It was heavy dry humping. Yeah, thank you.
Never underestimate a good dry hump, man.
So I got to ask you guys, what the hell is the album art for Spotted Horse? Is that a G? Is it like a symbol that represents something? I can't figure it out.
That is Christopher Royal King's design from This Will Destroy You. Yeah. He made it for us, and it is one of the coolest things that I think like I've ever seen for especially for like band like art. I don't really know what it is either. It does look like a G. Chris calls it the glassing identity symbol.
And I think he coined it the best for sure. Cause when you think about like records and, you know, when you're flipping through the record bin, there's some records that, you know, you're familiar with and then you're not, but there's the ones that you're not, that you do pick up. It's usually like something like that like clicks.
An interesting album.
Yeah, and you don't really know what the fuck it is. And Chris just hit the fucking ball out of the park for us, man. Yeah. We love that logo, and I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that logo is going to carry us as our identity as a band. And we definitely weren't looking for that. You know, it just happened.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And it totally makes sense that he did the design, because I didn't realize that he designed that, because I feel like some of the other, like another language has a bunch of like, I don't want to say exactly similar sort of designs as the album art for Spotted Horse, but there's some of that like simplistic sort of angular kind of designs that are used for the album art for that album. So that totally makes sense. That's fucking cool, man.
Yeah, Chris is the man. He's done all of our records and our EP. He did it. He did our EP.
Damn, you're right.
Both our full lengths.
Yeah.
Nice. And so you guys mentioned this at the start of our conversation, but you guys are both in other musical projects. So I just wanted to have you guys kind of talk a little bit about both of your projects, and then Is it fucking difficult juggling everything, being that you have multiple musical projects and then just fucking life in general?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I play, let's see, I have an upcoming project right now called Gnarly Parker. And it's a math rock, like super kind of like high energy positivity, like Hella, Terramellos. I'm like huge fan of bands like that. And I was in a 2-piece math rock band for like many years. So me and the drummer and like a few other, and then the guitarist from Honey and Salt, his name is Wade.
Great band, by the way.
Yeah, awesome local band. And then the bass player for a group called Boyfriends. They're all
also label mates.
Label mates. They're all going to be in on it too. So that's one project. And then I also make electronic music for like various things. But the last project that I had was I did the music for a tabletop game called Planet Camera.
Dude, that's awesome as fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's super cool. Like tabletop gaming, I had very little experience with, but the more I find out about it, the game's creator is like a super awesome dude. His name's Raj. We actually met because he came out to one of our shows.
Great friend ever since.
He's an awesome dude. And then let's see, that's it for my musical projects. Yeah, I don't play in any other bands except for that.
Yeah, Justin Goers is the bass player for 1,000 Foot Wall Claw and also does music with Troller.
And one of the
Holodeck Records alumni. And him and I, it's funny, we met when I first moved from Chicago and we worked at the same restaurant. And we always wanted to play music with each other and we never really had the opportunity. We were just kind of, staying in our own lanes with whatever projects we had. And then just of recently, we started Windows 1995, and it was just a funny happenstance because we wanted both of the same things in different ways to play it, and so it's a 2-piece, and he does synth work, and I do a lot more motoric, repetitive drum patterns, but that idea. It's a love affair. It's a friends with benefits band, if you will. We're both so busy, but when we get the chance to do it, we'll get together. But it's based on a journey of a dolphin that lost its mother at some point in its youth, and so our musical experience, our tracks are based on this dolphin's experience of what it sounds like in its head, of what it's going through. And so our tracks are like, each set that we've done so far has been like, right now, like he or she's joined a juvenile pod. And, so we talk about what we want to write in that band based on the journey of this said dolphin and what it goes through, which I find quite entertaining. And
it's actually an amazing project. One of the coolest things I've ever heard.
How the fuck did you guys think of that? That's amazing.
Yeah, well, it was mostly Justin Goers playing Arcade Street Fighter
and Echo the Dolphin.
Dude, I literally was thinking of fucking Echo the Dolphin as you're saying.
It's like a concept album about Echo the Dolphin.
But yeah, I don't know. We
very synth wave. Very synth world. And then Corey plays in a band called Cyclops too, and they're a local metal band. They're actually gonna release a record, I think, next year because they just got done recording it, and that's got a lot of local heavy hitters in it too.
Nice.
They're badass.
They're good.
They're really good.
Yep.
Yo, so all of your side projects also sound fucking awesome. Like math rock, I feel like when math rock is done right, it can be awesome. Like I don't know if you're into This Town Needs Guns at all, but like I'm totally into that band.
Yeah, I think Corey's actually a pretty big.
He's a big fan. Yeah, Corey and I go back on like anything Kinsella.
They really like old school math rock.
Yeah,
I think I went more down the road of like where Hella. Like I really like Hella. Like
I see people sometimes say that American football is math rock. I don't know, but like they kind of get thrown in there. I love American football too.
Well, like I said, I mean, anything Kinsella in my book, I've celebrated in their entire catalog. Any Mike, Tim, Sam Zurich, you know, Promise Ring, anything on J Tree, like it's that was my upbringing. You know, I cut my teeth in a lot of that, Owls to say the least, you know. But yeah, it's funny, like our musical backgrounds are so bizarro from each other.
So I gotta ask you, Dustin, about that tabletop game, because I think that's so fucking awesome. And like I always thought they were corny as fuck.
Me too.
And then my friends introduced me to like Settlers of Catan and other games, and they're like, they're fun as hell, man. So how the hell did you get like hooked up with these people to create music for this tabletop game?
So the guy that created the game, I don't know actually how he found us or like got into like our band, but he just introduced himself one day, and we just became friends after that. And then like he told me that he was making a tabletop game and that he needed music for it. And at that point I had been making electronic music with my good buddy Joseph, and we had like 2 records out at that point, and then and so he like hit us up with like the concept and like he like wireframed the whole thing with like art and designs and stuff, like to kind of give us a feel of like what kind of sound he wanted, and then we took it from there. Yeah, it was a great experience. It was super fun. That's
fucking cool. In the game, is the game out yet or no?
Yeah, it's I think it's got a beta out.
That's fucking cool as hell, man.
Thanks.
Sweet. So we talked about a bunch of really cool shit, and I know you guys mentioned that you guys listen to some different stuff from each other. So what have you guys been listening to lately?
You want no? Just tell them. Not doing that.
Liturgy.
I haven't even heard the new record, but yeah, Liturgy came out with a new record, which I haven't heard it yet, but it's apparently like fucking awesome,
dude. So some people like love them, some people hate them.
I don't want to go down.
I'm into path. Liturgy, yeah, dude. But it's odd, man. Some people love them or fucking hate. You either love them or you hate them.
I can't tell you how many times I've introduced Liturgy to metal fans,
and it's either like not into it. Yeah.
It's like a dog head nod, confused, and like, I think I like it. Or it's like, I'm going to have to listen to this again. Or it's like, what the fuck is this? And I'm like, dude, get woke.
Yeah, dude, Liturgy's good.
Solid. What else? Portrayal of Guilt. Yeah. Actually, I would say local homies for sure.
Yeah, we've been actually listening to a lot of local music. I mean, you were talking about Greve a second ago. Amazing. Portrayal of Guilt. Amazing. St. Peeler is great too. Like, there's actually been more cool shit that has been released locally. That like we've been getting into than like on a larger level. But I know there's been a lot of rad bands that have released records at this year specifically. Man, I wish I was listening to something new so I could talk about it, but I'm not. I'm like,
yo, shit is popping off in Texas, like we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of good fucking music coming out of Texas.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Not just Honey and Salt, Greve, Troller as well. I'll give that a go too. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
what have you been listening to? I want to know because I need new shit to listen to.
Oh my god, dude! So I've been listening to both Light and Death and Spotted Horse a shit ton lately. But I'll tell you what I've been listening to. So Black Marble, Bigger Than Life is so good. Lacing Without, their album is fucking awesome. The new Nightsins LP is really fucking good.
Oh shit, Birds in Row.
Birds in Row,
yeah. That.
Dude, Birds in Row is fucking awesome. I only got to see them once. I saw them last year with Ken Mode, and they were both fucking really great. Shit, what else have I been listening to? I've been listening to a shit ton of stuff. Folian is this really cool, like...
Oh, yeah. Dan, have you checked out Holy Fawn yet?
Yo, so they are... I wanted them to come on the podcast so bad. So if they're listening, guys, I still want you to come on because their album is fucking dope as shit.
They are incredible, man.
Ryan, if you're listening, get on this
podcast.
Oh, yeah. Let's make it happen. Fuck, what else have I been listening to? That's like some of the most recent stuff I've been listening to. Also, I don't know if you guys have ever listened to Mr. Kitty, but I'd never listened to him before. I saw that he was touring with this girl that I like, her music, Pastel Ghosts. I was like, oh, I'll check this guy out. Listened to one of his tracks, didn't think I would like the album, and it's like one of my favorite albums of the year. It's so fucking good.
I love when that happens, man. Like where you play something and you're like, I don't know if I like this, but then like halfway through you realize that this is like your first interpretation of it. It was like off because it's so awesome.
Yeah, man. Oh, it's so good. So it's like EDM, and I don't listen to a ton of that stuff. And I played a couple of tracks. I was like, this is cool. I don't know if I'll get into it though. And I just like kept listening to it. And it's an hour and 40 minutes or some shit like that, like hour 30 minutes. It's super long, and I typically don't like really long albums, but dude, it's dope as fuck.
Right. I wrote all those down.
So actually it's an hour and 55 minutes long. And typically I look at, if I saw an album like that, I'd be like, no way I'm listening to 2 hours, but I can't even tell you how many times I've listened to it in its entirety. It's so fucking good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Just self-titled?
The album is called Ephemeral. It's got some bangers.
That's sick.
That French band that you...
Oh,
let's give them that one.
A tray.
How are we saying that?
They're a French band and they're amazing. They're incredible.
They're sick. Yep.
Fuck yeah.
Anatomy of Habit. I have to plug in Mark Solitroff. He's been a huge influence of mine in all of his endeavors. Chicago icon, just a fucking lifer. They're on Relapse, if I'm correct. But yeah, his former project was Bloody Minded. I think they do some shows from time to time. But yeah, you should get into that as well.
Really quickly, to go back to Holy Fawn, that was another album that I listened to. I was like, I don't know if I like this. And a bunch of people kept saying this album's fucking dope. And I was like, all right, let me give it a little bit of a second chance. And dude, I wound up loving that fucking album. It's so good.
Which one?
Death Spells. I love the album art for it too. Like, oh, it's just such a good fucking album.
Yeah.
Damn, man. So shit, do you guys have anything coming up?
We have a few pending things. Let's see, we're playing with Street Sex on the 20th of December at this venue called 523 Thompson. I think that's our next show. And then we have one after that.
Greve.
Greve. And then we may be doing a little European tour after that in April. We just got
looking pretty good.
There's this label that has started distributing our record in Europe, and
Golden
Antenna, yeah. And so I think we're gonna go shake things up over there if all things go. Mm-hmm. Doing like a Europe tour, especially for like a band like us, is like it feels like a big leap. So that's why we're trying to speak
lightly.
Not too committed in our words, because we don't know if like, because one little thing could, like, an expired passport or whatever,
yeah,
shit like that.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, Camacho, Dustin, thank you guys so much for your time and coming on to the podcast. I shit you guys not, Spotted Horse is hands down one of my favorite albums of the year. Like I said, it's definitely in the top 10. There's a chance it could wind up in the top 5 because I'm still trying to figure that shit out. So great job, guys. It's such a solid album.
Thank you, sir.
But I will say that nip slip early on definitely gives you...
I knew it did.
It's bumping it up for sure.
Here, I'll give you 2 of them.
All right, now we're talking.
Top three, baby.
Is this what you want? How do we get up there?
So shit. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much again. I really appreciate
Thanks
it.
for reaching out, man. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to talk to us.
Yo, so I'm not going to say Dustin and Camacho pulling out their nips help their chances of where Spotted Horse is going to wind up on my end of the year list, but it certainly didn't hurt. That's all I'm saying. I'm still just like, how did these guys write the vast majority of Spotted Horse over a 4-day time? That just completely blows me away. I also love the fact that Camacho mentioned that his other project, Windows 1995, essentially is writing like a concept album or like music based on pretty much fucking Echo, which if you've never played Echo, it was I don't know if it was just for Sega Genesis or if you could also get it on Super Nintendo, but it was a game that I played when I was younger on Sega Genesis, and it was so fucking hard. Still a fun game up to a certain point, and the fact that they're writing music with this whole fucking like story behind it is just so cool, and I think it's really fucking awesome. I'll make sure to add links in the show notes to how you guys could listen to Glassing and the projects that Dustin and Camacho both mentioned that they're a part of, along with links to how you could cop some of their merch. If you have seen Rise of Skywalker and you want to either gripe about how much you hated it or talk to me about how much you loved it, dude, I'm always up for Star Wars conversation, so hit me up. If you don't follow the show, guys, subscribe, rate the show on iTunes, help others find this podcast. And you guys know the drill. Get out there, create something cool. I will see you next time.